they're not arguing over something that they disagree on. I mean, we're discussing an appropriations bill that actually both parties agree on. You just have Chuck Schumer and Dianne Feinstein who want to shut government down for government services for American citizens because they would rather cater to non-citizens. And that's not a very good look as we're rolling into a midterm cycle, I just want to add. But they do agree on spending. It's just they want Congress to vote on adding something that hasn't even been written yet. And I want to underscore that for everyone watching. Any legislation that they're considering where it concerns DACA hasn't even been written yet. They're still in negotiations, or at least they were, while they were discussing this appropriations bill. And that's when Chuck Schumer decided to throw a wrench in everything and say, well, we want you to also include this thing that hasn't been written yet that we're currently negotiating right now. That's not how this works.
And what Chuck Schumer knows is that we could debate the merits of DACA reform or not till the cows come home. The bottom line is those leaders in Washington, Republican leaders in Washington, had made it clear that they're going to come up with some kind of DACA solution. Whether anybody likes it or not, they've made that clear. Chuck Schumer knows that DACA will happen. Chuck Schumer also knows that Democrats voted for the wall years ago and that there's funding there, which means they could come together on all of this and get this all done, but they don't want to. And in the end, we talk about the military being hurt by this. American people are also being hurt by this.
Well, I've heard from a number of veterans and active duty who, of course, have spoken anonymously, and they say that people don't realize they're considered essential personnel, but essential personnel that are going to go unpaid. And that's what people need to realize. These are the politics that are being played. Again, I want to reiterate that you have Chuck Schumer and Dianne Feinstein and other party leadership in Washington, D.C. that are taking a stand against American citizens for non-citizens, which I think that priority is backwards. I mean, they were currently negotiating DACA, but I don't know why Chuck Schumer decided in poor faith to pull a trick like this and shut down the government. And again, I want everyone to remember one of the reasons why that government is shut down and why we're doing continuing resolutions is because for every single budget proposal, I'm talking about a permanent budget resolution, so we don't have to continuously do continuing resolutions, which are only several months long, and we have to do this every 3 or 4 months. The reason why we're doing CRs is because Democrats have consistently objected, blocked, and filibustered other previous budget proposals, which is why we're doing CRs. And that's why you have one giant bill with this appropriations bill. Furthermore, Chuck Schumer also denied Mitch McConnell's request to do a simple majority 51 vote, and he insisted that it be 60 votes. And so that's why we're in this particular situation with one large bill and a 60 vote threshold. This was all set up by Chuck Schumer and Dianne Feinstein. And one more quick thing, Grant, that no one else is talking about. DACA was explicitly written by people like Chuck Schumer and other individuals who are screeching about it now. It was explicitly written to sunset this year. People aren't talking about that. It's not that Trump is deciding to rescind anything. I've seen so many incorrect headlines. He's not rescinding anything. This was written to expire this year. So maybe voters need to be asking Schumer why they so poorly wrote a bill and they're having to argue about it again.